Hey, welcome to Stocks, Tech, and Beer, where we grab a cold one and talk about getting rich. And today we're going to talk about three passive investment strategies you can do in your IRA or Roth IRA. And you can do that you can invest a little differently in these accounts because they're different than a taxable account for tax reasons. So you can do things a little differently. I recommend putting some of these investments in your IRA as opposed to your taxable account. And we'll get to that. But first, a little disclaimer: this is not financial advice. It's more like guidance. Even though I like to think I know what I'm talking about, each individual situation is different, and I can't get into each individual situation. The videos would just take too long, and I don't have time to answer all the questions that might come my way. So if you're confused by anything here, please contact a financial advisor. Yes, I am drinking a beer. That's part of the channel. What I want to do here is to just talk to you, kick back and like we're having a conversation at a bar and just relax. We're not going to have any pizzazz, no fancy special effects. Just going to dazzle you with some facts. And if you are dazzled with facts at any point in this video, please hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel. Really would appreciate that. It helps get the message out to more people, and we can all be rich and live a partyful life together. So disclaimer over, now onto the good stuff. Now, none of these passive strategies are going to send your IRA to the moon tomorrow or even next year or the year after. These are long-term investment strategies, and strategies I think can make 10, 12% a year in your IRA. And if you can do that, you're going to end up being very, very wealthy. I got another video where I talk about how much you need to invest to retire. Once I get it up, I'll put a button up here. You can click on that. But until then, trust me, 10, 12%, if you can do that over the course of 30 or 40 years and put in a few $1,000s every year, like you're going to retire a multimillionaire. No questions asked. And you'll be able to live a great retirement, have a great life. So take this very seriously. It's very important to get this right. So the first thing I recommend you do in a retirement account that I would not do in a taxable account is buy mutual funds. Hang on, please don't turn this off. It sounds like a common advice that you get. Doesn't really help you. But if you buy a low-cost index fund, low-cost mutual fund, you should get over 30, 40 years a return like right around the 10% level, because that's historically what the market has done. So if you can do that, you can just buy those funds, not worry about anything else ever financially, and go out and enjoy life, and then come back when you retire and voila, you got money. So you can do that. And the reason why I say you should do this in a retirement account and not a taxable account is because mutual funds have pass-through taxation, and sometimes weird things happen with these taxes. There's stories out there after the tech bubble, like people bought in at 2000 to these growth mutual funds. They crash 60, 70% or sometimes more, and then they still get hit with the tax bill because those investments got up so far before that when they sold them, they still had a gain, but the gain wasn't realized until then. And when they realized the gain, that's when you pay the taxes. So these people who bought at the top, lost all their money, were hit with a double whammy, as there's this weird pass-through tax consequence of owning a mutual fund. So if you want to have a fund or a mutual fund, put that in your retirement account. If you want to put in a fund in your taxable account, use an ETF, because then you only get taxed on, if it pays a dividend, you get taxed on the dividend, and you only get taxed on the capital gain once you sell, and you can hold those things forever. Like the S&P 500 ETF, SPY, that's not going nowhere. That's going to be around for a long, long time. So what mutual funds should you buy? That's really a personal decision, but I would just I would buy those low-cost index funds. Those are the easiest things to do. And just make sure your expense ratio, you probably want that to be below 0.5%. You can get some that have zero right now and not pay any kind of management fee to the fund doing it. And they make money by loaning out your shares to short sellers like that. But that's not important. It's not costing you anything. You're actually saving money. It's not paying fees. So I would do that. But if you want to get one specific little niche to get into, I think small cap value is about to turn it around. These are small companies that are considered value stocks. And historically, over the past 100 years, through all the innovations we've seen and changes to the world, World War II, Vietnam, leaving the gold standard, these have outperformed the overall market and have made something like 11, 12% a year compared to the 10% that large cap stocks have returned. So small cap value is definitely a good way of playing this, and it's underperformed the past 10 years, so it's bound to catch up, I believe. And we should see that happen. So I think small cap value is a good place to start. But remember, you want to keep this diversified between small and large, value and growth, domestic and international. So you get like the best of all worlds. No matter what happens, you're still making money and you're still getting a decent return on your investments. And the number two investment I would put in an IRA are these dividend growth stocks. As I briefly touched earlier, whenever you get a dividend, you end up paying tax on that right away every year, and it kind of messes up your compounding. So if you don't have to pay that 5 or 15% tax every year, you get to keep that in your account and you get to compound more and more and more and more. And that you can do that in your retirement account or in your taxable account. You're losing 15% of your dividend every year out to Uncle Sam as he collects his fair share. So do that, and if you want a list of these good dividend growing stocks, I would just type into Google dividend aristocrats, and this will give you a list of these companies that have raised their dividends every year for the past 25 years. I mean, that's an incredibly stable company. You made it through the tech bust, you made it through the Great Recession in '08, you made it through everything else in between, and the pandemic this year. And they're still maintaining or raising dividends every year. And that takes extreme discipline by a company to do that. And those on the list take it very, very seriously. And they're quality businesses. And some of them are beaten down right now. Like if these guys are selling physical products, they're just beaten down and they'll give you a good dividend right now. And I got 3 of these. I picked out a list that are yielding pretty good returns, I think all over 4%. And are good, decent companies that I think should do well, at least over the next 10 years. Hard to say it past that. You got to pay a little attention if buying individual stocks to what's going on in the market, because with all the change we're seeing in the world, with all the technological change, and just every year this happens more and more and more and faster and faster and faster, that you got to be on top of it, because a company could become irrelevant or could get a different company with better technology could displace it. And if they're not quick enough to move, it could be gone. So just, you got to pay attention. Maybe once a year, look at it, think about what you're owning, and go from there. But these are companies I think will still be around in 10 years. But like I said, hard to say. But I feel pretty good about this. So the first one is AbbVie. This is a biotech company. And it's actually not too beaten down yet. Oh yeah, ticker symbol is ABBV. It's not beaten down yet. It's actually pretty close to all-time highs, at least 52-week highs, but it still yields 4.9%. And then the next one is Franklin Resources. It's ticker symbol BEN, B-E-N. And this is a financial advisory company. They're an asset manager. And they've been beaten down because of this pandemic and the interest rates, the Fed policy, makes it hard to make money as a financial company. So they've been beaten down, and they haven't recovered yet, and they're yielding 4.9%. But this is an extremely well-run company, and one that I think will still be around in 10 years. Like, people are still going to want financial services in 10 years, so I think it's a pretty safe bet. And the last one, Walgreens. Ticker symbol WBA. And they're still down almost 50% from their pre-pandemic highs, because they have a store and nobody's going into stores right now. But this is a pharmacy. It's one of the biggest pharmacies in the country, if not the biggest. And people still need the medicines. They probably need the medicines more now than ever. I mean, will these pharmacies get displaced? Yeah, probably by mail order prescriptions. I know companies like Amazon are doing this. But I mean, if you're Walgreens, you got to be thinking about this right now, right? You got to be thinking about a way to get prescriptions out to your customers faster, so they don't have to go into the store, stand in line for 10 or 15 minutes while the person in front of him tries to figure out their whole pharmacy benefits package with the pharmacist. And it's a disaster waiting in line. It's the most frustrating experience in the world. So these guys need to change it. But I mean, Walgreens knows this. And you can go to Walgreens and get a ton of stuff too. With hurricanes coming in Florida, like the one place I found you can get water almost always is a Walgreens. Don't tell anyone that. It'd be our little secret. But, people are still going to go to Walgreens and buy stuff, buy a quick little bit if they need to, and it's not too crowded of a store to be in. And the number 3 investment are REITs, real estate investment trusts. And these are real high dividend paying stocks. I mean, some of these even get up to the 8, 10%. You get higher than 10%, it'd be a little weary if they could continue to pay out that dividend. But many of them get up there because these are pass through entities. Like they have to pass through their income onto you. I think to maintain this REIT status, they have to pass on like 90% of their profit or something like that to investors. So it's great for income investors, and you can take that dividend and compound it. You can roll it back into that REIT or another cheap dividend paying stock and just keep compounding this. And this is probably the most, between this and dividend growing stocks, you probably get 12% a year if you do it right and buy the right ones with your dividends. Plus, REITs have a complex dividend structure, which if you hold them in a taxable account, sometimes gets confusing when it comes to tax time. You get this one form, or get 1099 something or another probably, and it's confusing. You got to enter each one manually. Don't need to worry about that at all if you have it in a retirement account. So you can just have those retirement account and not worry about all these tax filings and collect those dividends and not pay that 15% dividend tax every year and keep compounding that money better and better in your IRA. So this video is getting a little long. I don't really want to get into specific REITs or anything. If you are interested in that, leave a comment below. And also, if you got value out of this, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. As I said before, it keeps me motivated to get more of these and help spread the message so we can all live a better life. And quick recap, the 3 passive investing strategies I really like to have in a retirement account and not so much in a taxable account are mutual funds, dividend growth stocks, and REITs. And those will compound your income faster in your IRA than if you're paying taxes on those things every year. So that's all I have for today. Cheers, friend.